Mass Effect embodies one facet of video gaming which I desire more than nothing else. New intellectual properties from companies who have been in the industry for years, or just games that aren't Mario for a change. BioWare has put their team hard at work to create one of the richest settings for a role-playing and action hybrid. It's terrific to see that there are still periods in this generation of games where companies really wanted to share their creativity with the world and not just line their pockets with gold. Well, not till Mass Effect 2 anyway. This is a spectacular science fiction experience which you should play, and I'll tell you why.
Humanity needs a hero, and Shepard's the best we've got.
Mass Effect refers to a technological capability of traveling to distant parts of the Milky Way galaxy using a series of giant relays throughout systems. This sets the scene for the game, demonstrating that a multitude of species discovered one another and continued to further civilization with the assistance of the mass relays. The year is 2183 and you are Commander Shepard of the Alliance military, charged with the protection of human colonies. Before the game begins, you may choose to customize your Shepard in different ways, including gender. However, I find it's just as fitting to stick with the default, as he's on the cover. During an attack on a colony, it is revealed that a Turian, just one of many races in the game, named Saren, is responsible for the assault. Making matters worse, Saren is in league with the Citadel Council, who oversee the operation of the galaxy as a whole. After proving Saren's guilt, you are charged with bringing him to justice, only to learn that his plans transcend far beyond that of attacking colonies. It's a fairly competent, but more importantly, inventive story. Bringing together all the possibilities with future technologies and new races makes Mass Effect very interesting to follow. For example, Shepard builds up his squad over time, and many aliens form the team, each with their own race histories which you can learn about. Incidentally, I found myself more intrigued by squad mates such as Rex and Tali, who are far more fascinating than any of the humans. I mean, Kaidan should just be deleted from the franchise. After missions, you can chat with any member to learn more about them. Of course, Mass Effect isn't just composed of these characters. You will meet hundreds of others in the game, and I believe it's worthwhile chatting with about every non-human. Speaking of chatting, that plays a crucial role. A dialogue wheel appears with paraphrased versions of questions or answers when talking. Depending upon what you say, you may gain Paragon or Renegade points. Basically just good and evil archetypes. These in turn open up options to charm or intimidate.
Stay back or we'll shoot!
This would be a good time to find somewhere else to work.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea.
So with this plethora of races, the setting which accompanies it is gorgeous in most sections. From the shores of Vermire to the frozen wastelands of Novaria, there are some nice areas to see. I wasn't too thrilled with Veros though, because it is essentially a dismal grey planet. The rest represents an excellent science fiction world with humming blue and yellow electronics all over the place. A clear and concise art style. Gameplay is a feature I'm less encouraged to talk about when it comes to Mass Effect. Although they had many novel ideas, they're less than impressive when you fiddle around with them. It's a third-person shooter with different abilities and role-playing elements built in. You have weapons which don't use ammo and only overheat with extensive use. These weapons also lose their ability to aim effectively as you fire, and the reticle expands. This is a feature I enjoyed because it reminded me of Deus Ex. However, you are more limited when it comes to classes, which really outline which weapons you can use in the first place. Certain classes like the Vanguard only have pistol and shotgun skills, whereas a soldier can use all. The others compensate by implementing magical abilities into the mix. Your combat techniques, including weapons and power, are attached to a woeful and uninventive talent system which almost single-handedly ruins the combat. By leveling up, you gain talent points to spend on combat skills. Most of the points just slightly increase your statistics in these skills. However, some grant powers down the line which take that great combat concept and completely ruin it. For example, pistols and assault rifles can be overloaded so that your attack speed greatly increases and your accuracy is put to maximum. These abilities are available to every class and allow you to plow through group after group of enemies almost every minute. There's even an ability which recharges all of your abilities instantly. Coupled with that, ones like Warp kill enemies in one hit, and Barrier makes you practically invincible. This is the same problem I had with a game called Alpha Protocol, which tries to mimic this system. So in effect, you must not use powers to enjoy combat more. It also doesn't help that your squad mates, up to a maximum of 2 at a time, are absolutely brainless and worthless in combat. They can be commanded with buttons, which is almost pointless because they can never take cover properly, so they're more meat shields than anything. You can of course pause the game and select their powers, which is about the only good feature. The AI needs an overhaul from both sides. I can't count the number of times I've killed an enemy not in cover properly. The next point is the inventory system. You can scavenge around levels to find boxes for loot. Most of these contain weapons, armor, or modifications. Now, the modifications actually do something like give you bonuses against organics or apply a damage over time effect on the target. The weapons and armor changes are almost no-brainers. Just switch to the one with the largest damage absorption or attack. Accuracy rating and shots before overheat is pointless. All this does is it increases the amount of garbage you have in your inventory, so if you have to spend about 20 minutes making it into a gel, which lets you hack boxes faster, so you can get more items so you can convert them into gel. There's also not enough variety when it comes to weapons, probably because of the infinite ammo, and that's why they changed it in the second game. Then there are the shops, which require you to spend about a third of your total cash gain from one mission just to purchase one weapon, when you need to think about all the other weapons and armor for yourself and your squad mates. The shops are useless except for the metagel and grenade storage upgrades. And yes, my bartering skill was actually at maximum. That's the combat. It's definitely the greatest weakness of the game, but it can still be enjoyable if you don't spam abilities like a maniac. I'm happier to say that the missions you receive on quest hub planets you visit are all very good. Most of them have 2 outcomes as well, thanks to the dialogue wheel again. One had me buying illegal weapon parts from a dealer, another had me trying to disrupt a salesman while I wirelessly hacked his computer. These quests all existed in the same hubs as the story, and were great. It's the side quests on the planets which are absolutely not worth touching. In Mass Effect, you can travel to a number of different planets to scour the surface for items while driving around the Mako Dune buggy. It's extremely boring as the level design for all the landscapes and buildings on these planets is exactly the same. Spot the difference between these 3 separate rooms on 3 separate planets. I can't. I don't know what's going on at BioWare, but this is just unacceptable. Avoid any side quests on non-story planets unless you desperately want experience points. Getting back to the positive side of things, the soundtrack for this game is brilliant. Inspired by Blade Runner, this clearly sets the tone for each situation you find yourself in. That feeling of exploration and intrigue while you're listening to these tracks is phenomenal. This techno is done right, and it's refreshing that a modern game actually has this genre still going. Voice acting can be interpreted as generally positive, although most humans sound relatively dull as characters, including both Shepard voice actors. The alien races with proper voice synthesis are excellent. mostly because of the genuine sound difference, but they do convey emotion well too.
Why don't the Krogan try to find a cure?
When was the last time you saw a Krogan scientist? You ask a Krogan, would he rather find a cure for the genophage or fight for credits? He'll choose fighting every time. It's just who we are, Shepard. I can't.
So long, Rex.
Shepard.
Mass Effect is a game I can really appreciate for the setting and the story. In fact, I can almost forgive the average gameplay since the galaxy is just so inviting. It should be noted that many of the problems I addressed above were actually fixed in Mass Effect 2, so why review this game then? I still believe it's definitely worth a playthrough to get acquainted with the series, and also because a lot of your choices in this game actually stem into the second and perhaps even third games. It also runs well on both systems and is a very inexpensive game which many have played, so you might have something to talk about. If you like this game, I guarantee you'll love Mass Effect 2, perhaps even more.